Government of India recommendations for the routine investigations in first trimester. CBC is very important to check the hemoglobin status at the starting. Hematocrit, very, very important. Four times it has to be done in every visit according to the Government of India. Now, Government of India has actually stated that even if the patient is coming at least 4 times or 3 times, WHO says 4 times, Government of India says 3 times, then it is supposed to be a booked patient. Every time you have to do a CBC. Now, if it is less than 11 gram per cent, it is anemia in pregnancy and it is pathological. If it is less than 7, then it is severe anemia in pregnancy. So less than 11 in India is anemic and less than 7 is severe anemia. ABO group typing, that is, we need to know the blood group of the patient, and the cervical cytology, that is pap smear, has to be done at the first visit. Okay. Then blood glucose. As per the DIPSI guidelines, pre-gestational diabetes is detected at the first antenatal visit. Gestational diabetes at 24 to 28 weeks, insulin resistance is highest. So basically, we term pre-gestational, we use this term when it is detected at the first antenatal visit. And when it is detected between 24 to 28 weeks, that is gestational diabetes. So we do it twice. We do it at the first visit, and then if everything is normal, then we do it again between 24 to 28 weeks. If that is abnormal, we term it as gestational diabetes, and if the first visit was abnormal, then it is pre-gestational diabetes, and generally it is because of insulin resistance. Why insulin resistance? Because pregnancy itself is a diabetogenic condition. We need, as a pregnant patient, the patient accumulates a lot of glucose for the fetus because it has to transfer glucose to the fetus. That is why it has a physiological insulin resistance. Physiological insulin resistance is not going to, insulin is not going to act on glucose and metabolize it. So enough glucose is there for the mother to give it to the fetus. So it's a diabetogenic condition. Blood picture will tell the nature of anemia. If she's anemic, if it is microcytic hypochromic, then definitely iron deficiency. If it is macrocytic, it may be vitamin B12 or folic acid megaloblastic anemia. Hypersegmented neutrophils, then again vitamin B12 deficiency. I'm sure you know better than me because you have been doing this in physiology and in your medicine chapters. Even pathology is going to cover this. MCV, that is mean corpuscular volume, less than 80 FL is iron deficiency anemia, and MCV more than 115 FL is B12 deficiency anemia. FL is the unit we use for the volume. Now, solve this MCQ for me. A pregnant woman visits the OPD in 2 months of amenorrhea. She was found to be 7 weeks pregnant and anemic. She was anemic. On investigation, hemoglobin was 9, so less than 11. It is not pathological. Yes, it is pathological, but it is not severe anemia. Iron supplementation should be started from which week? Should it be 8 to 10 weeks? Should it be 20 weeks? Should it be 14 weeks or 10 to 12 weeks? I will tell you later why it is always 14 weeks, because we don't give iron in the first trimester. We try to do it with diet because she's suffering from nausea, vomiting already. We don't want to give her more iron and increase the gastric symptoms and the constipation. So we start it normally from the second trimester, that is the 14th week. Okay. So that is the answer. Government of India recommends that VDRL has to be done as a rapid plasma reagent test, RPR, that is for the syphilis. HBsAg is done in vaccinated women also. Even though the patient has had HBsAg vaccination, she says that I have taken this vaccine and all the doses, the 2-3 doses have been taken, the booster has been taken, even then you have to check because this can affect the baby and you can save the baby by giving immunoglobulins. Similarly, HIV, it is a universal screening. Patient may opt out. Patient may opt out. Very important. The patient might say, I don't want to go for my HIV testing, and you cannot force her. ELISA test is the most important one, the common one, followed by it is not that expensive. If this is suspicious or positive, then we go for the Western blot test, that is a proper confirmatory test. Okay. Then TSH and free T4. Routine is not recommended. We don't do free T4 and TSH. It is only tested in the high risk cases, and I will tell you what are the high risk cases according to the Government of India. Torch test is not indicated as a routine. It is even not indicated in RPL. So as such, there are no indications for doing torch test unless we check for hydrops fetalis as to what was the reason. Okay, hydrops can be because of these infections, but as such, even in the chapter on recurrent pregnancy loss, I told you torch infections do not lead to recurrent pregnancy loss. Toxoplasmosis has been linked in the causes, but it is very, very rare to find toxoplasmosis for causing recurrent pregnancy losses. Okay. Now, who are the women who are at risk of developing hypothyroidism? As I said, Government of India does not recommend free T4 and TSH measurements. The women who are residing in area of known moderate to severe iron deficiency, we should do a TSH and T4. obesity patients, that is obese patients, history of prior thyroid dysfunction, they have a history of thyroid problems, goiter, then you need to check TSH and T4. Then history of mental retardation in the family or in the previous child. If her previous child has been mentally retarded or somebody in the family has delivered a mentally retarded child, then you need to check that. Recurrent miscarriages, because thyroid problem, hypothyroidism, I told you in the chapter, is the proven cause for recurrent miscarriages, hypothyroidism. Then preterm labor, stillbirths, IUD, abruptio, all these need to be checked for thyroid. And history of infertility, they definitely need a thyroid checkup. Okay, so these are the women at risk of hypothyroidism. Then urine routine microscopy has also been recommended. So CBC, blood group, then blood sugar has to be done twice according to the DIPSI guidelines. Hematocrit has to be done, and the high risk women should be tested for TSH and T4. Urine routine microscopy has to be done in every trimester, just like hemoglobin. And how can we do it? We have to do it with dipstick to check for protein. We have to check for the sugar and the pus cells. We have to see whether there is a presence of nitrites or leukocytes, esterase, because if it is getting picked up by dipstick, then it indicates urinary tract infections. So we check for bacteria, although bacteria may be present in a urine of a pregnant lady, like asymptomatic bacteriuria. Asymptomatic bacteriuria means the patient is not symptomatic, she has no symptoms, but you are able to detect bacteria, and there is a certain number as to how much should be there to actually label it as asymptomatic bacteriuria, and that will need treatment because that can otherwise lead to other complications. So we have to check for protein, we have to check for infection, pus cells, we have to check for sugar and pus cells, and we have to check for nitrates and leukocyte esterase. That will tell us that okay, she may be a case of UTI. Asymptomatic bacteriuria, as I told you, can lead to preterm labor and pyelonephritis if it is untreated. So, if it is fulfilling the criteria of asymptomatic bacteriuria, you have to treat it. Culture is recommended, but the facility may not be available everywhere. So, it is ideally recommended that they go for culture and we are able to pick up. It is good if we are able to pick up the organism and the antibiotics. Then, ultrasound examination. First trimester scan, either transabdominal or transvaginal. It is better to do transvaginal. It helps to detect early pregnancy. How many pregnancies are there? One fetus, two fetuses. Accurate dating number, gross fetal anomaly may be detected even in the first trimester. Say around 12 weeks, 11 to 12 weeks, you can detect anencephaly and many other things that I will tell you in the chapter on aneuploidies and the congenital abnormalities. Any uterine or adnexal pathology like fibroid, septum may be picked up. Okay, so that is a first trimester scan. Dating scan, according to the Government of India, ultrasound during pregnancy, dating scan should be done at between 6 to 8 weeks. But what will happen if she doesn't come before 8 weeks? Then whatever is the first visit, you label it as a dating scan. NT scan should ideally be done between 11 to 13 weeks. Anomaly scan, 18 to 20 weeks, that is known as the TIFA scan. Remember, I told you there are different names: TIFA scan, level 2 scan, or a detailed scan. All these are same. Anomaly scan, detailed scan, TIFA scan, and level 2 scan. So this may be a booking scan. It should be done in all pregnant women. Okay. So this may be a booking scan because she's probably come for the first time. Or in other words, because anomaly scan is basically telling us what are the features of the patient. So initially whatever we did was dating and NT. Booking scan is when she has come for the 5th month, that is the anomaly scan. Growth scans can be done. This may be done from 30 to 32 weeks, not every patient. And echo may be required between 22 to 24 if at all there is problem in the detailed scan.